Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lorcana. In today's video, I am going to be... Hold on. Before we get into that, we have more important business. Take a look at the hoodie. That's right, Stranger Things. I don't know if you've seen Season 5 yet, Stranger Things, but trust me, it's absolutely mental. If you haven't seen Season 5 yet, please take a look at it before you even watch this video, just so we can share how great of a show this is. I can't wait for the rest of it to come out. I'm buzzing. And the last episode, my god, absolutely mental. But back onto Lorcana content. So, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to play Purple Steel for this set. Now, this is my own deck that I've built. This is the exact deck that I'd be taking to a tournament if I was going to be competing right now. And honestly, through my testing, it's been absolutely fantastic. The deck is really performing well. It feels great into most of the matchups, and even in some of your harder ones where you have to work a bit harder, you still got a solid chance into it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's take a look at the lines, how I'd play this deck, and how we can get you prepared for your upcoming set champs and get you that top 8 spot. Right, everyone, so this is my Purple Steel list for set 10. Now, in our 1-cost slot, we have 3 copies of Diablo, 2 copies of Palace Guard, and 4 copies of Captain Hook. I'm running 9 copies altogether in my 1-drop slot, and realistically, I wanted to get as close to 10 as possible. I unfortunately did decide to cut one of my 1-drops because I wanted to fit in another card later on, which we'll discuss about in a little bit, but 10 seems to be the ideal number for me. It just means I'm constantly seeing a 1-drop, and that's something that I want to be doing with this deck. I want to have that nice opening curve of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if I am going to be going second, I do want to be seeing my Captain Hook. That's the control card of the deck, and really nice early bit of board presence. Getting the Challenger, being able to do 3 damage means it's able to take out most things on the field. Even a Daisy, if that comes down, I'm able to go Captain Hook into a Madam Mim, Tiny Adversary, and able to take it out straight away. But realistically, I don't need to be able to take it out that quickly because I do have characters later in the deck which are going to be doing more challenging and more threats to the board state. If I am going to be going first, I probably want to see Diablo. Diablo I'm quite happy to see. It just means that if they pop it, I'm getting another draw. And honestly, Diablo sits on the field for a while because your opponents don't really want you to get the card draw from it. If it is on the first turn, they'll tend to get rid of it straight away. But I find that later in the game, especially when you have a smaller hand size, Diablo will just sit there. The exact same thing for Palace Guard. Palace Guard I've been a little bit up and down with, but I think 2 copies I'm quite happy with. I'm not over-committing, so I'm seeing it every single turn one, but I'm not under-committing, so I still get to see it sometimes. Most of the time, Palace Guard is just going to sit there on the board. The thing I don't like about it is I'm not really getting that Challenger benefit. I do miss in the previous set when I had Rafiki and Hook felt like quite a nice combination, but in this set, I'm trying to get lore a little bit quicker than I was in the previous games. Because of all the Sapphire that's about, we've got a lot of decks which are going to be wiping the boards, which makes it a little bit harder for us to get to the end point. We've got a lot of wiping combos thanks to Prince Philip, which I don't really like too much, and even Spooky Sight, it can be a little bit of a pain. So really, I want some cards that are going to stick on the board for quite a long time. Palace Guard does exactly that. It's a 1/4 stat line, so it's hard to challenge into and get rid of without multiple characters, which is good for a 1-cost character. It does have the Vanish ability, but not a lot of people are playing cannons at the minute, so I don't tend to see people popping it straight away. It's something that will sit on the board, get me 3, 4, or 5 lore, and that means I'm getting closer into my Giant Cobra range. A lot of people when playing this deck int their Giant Cobras, and I think it's something you really shouldn't do. It's a mistake I see a lot of old Ruby Amethyst players make when they had Goat. They used to ink their goats. Each time you played Goat, you're getting a lore, and each time it leaves the field, you're gaining a lore as well. It just means it's that much closer to your end game total. With Giant Cobra, if you play that down on the field, you are getting 2 lore as long as you discard a card. So if you play all 4 Giant Cobras in the game, you only need to quest for 12 to win. And that's really not too difficult in the grand scheme of things. Most games I've been able to get to 12 quite comfortably, so it's something that I want to utilise later on. Palace Guard is going to be helping me on that journey there, getting me ever so closer to 20. And in fact, if I get the Cobras out, get me ever so closer to 12. In our 2-cost slots, I'm running 1 copy of Madam Mim, Tiny Adversary, 2 copies of Timothy Q Mouse, 3 copies of Black Heron, 4 copies of Calhoun, and 3 copies of Doc. Now, a little bit of an interesting count there, since I have went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to 3 with the Doc, but let me walk you through it. Madam Mim, Tiny Adversary, I like, but I don't need it in every single matchup. It's just one of those tech cards that I want to have in there just in case. It's something where if I draw into it at the right time, it's great, but if not, I can just stick it into my inkwell. It's really good in the purple steel mirror match as well, because I can just have it sit there and then give the additional challenger to my characters, making it easier to take things out. Also good in some of the quicker decks as well. Most of the time, it's just going to sit upright and not do anything on the board. It's not really the card I want to see on my turn 2 though. It's something I'd like to see a little bit later on. With the Timothy Q mouse, that's been popularised by Frank Carsten. I do like the card, I just don't love the card, which is why I've not went higher with it. Timothy Q mouse is a 1/4 stat line, so once again, like Palace Guard, it's going to be sticking on the field for a long time. But it has the added ability that when you have an evasive character on the field, it quests for 2. So once again, linking to the strategy I was talking about previously, this is just to get us to that higher total a little bit quicker to put us into Giant Cobra range. It's really, really useful to combine that with the Tinkerbell on the turn 3, just to be able to get that evasive engine going, questing out a little bit more. Predominantly though, I'm always going to be looking for Black Heron or Calhoun on my turn 2. I just think it's a little bit stronger. Like I say, I am looking to clear my opponent's board as quickly as possible and then go from there. I like playing in a position where I ran down my opponent's resources, we've had that little battle going, and then I can start to quest out. I don't like being in the position where I'm trying to quest out early, because you just eventually run out of gas, and that's not something I'm into. A lot of people have dropped Calhoun down to a 3 count, but for me, I think it just needs to stay as a 4. Additionally, we've got quite a lot of purple still in the meta at the minute, so it's quite useful in that mirror match, just stopping your opponents from questing out and threatening them. It means they're not getting to their Cobra total as easy. Don't get me wrong, Calhoun's not as great in the Sapphire matchups, but we are seeing a bit more of a diversity split in Sapphire now. We were very Sapphire heavy at the start of the set, but we're now leaning more purple heavy. So I think Calhoun has a very strong place. And then once again with Black Heron, it's just Calhoun but inkable and doesn't have the ability with it. So I'm still getting that board clearance, still a useful card to have, but I'm not getting any lore from it. So I'd rather have more Calhoun than Black Heron. Doc has been a little bit of an interesting one. Most people are starting to cut down on Doc now, and that's because of the inclusion of Demona in the deck. Doc is a really good card, and we played a lot of Doc Roulette in the last set, but I have really bad luck when it comes to Doc. I will end up with 4 copies of Doc in my opening hand, or I just won't see it for the whole game altogether. I thought it was safer going down to a total of 3, so I wasn't clogging my hand and getting the multiple copies at the same time. It really felt like I was just ruining my gameplay, because I knew I wouldn't draw into them later, so at a point in the game, I'm going to be bricking. Like I say, additionally, because we got the Demona as well, that's also building the ability of Doc backups. We don't need to worry about it as much. But there is another little draw engine that I've been using in the deck that I'm going to talk about in a minute. If you have paid attention to my other videos, it's something I've discussed before, and it's relating to boost. So if you have already seen that, let me know exactly what it is in the comments. Now, moving on onto our 3-cost slots. I'm on 4 copies of Cheshire Cat, 4 copies of Cobra, 2 copies of Tinkerbell, 4 copies of Lexington. Now, a little bit of a mix up there, which I do quite like. So Cheshire Cat, let me flat out say, is, to me, probably the best card in set 10. It's absolutely nuts. It's Bell Accomplished Mystic, but just constantly on the field, and the effect is constantly running, which is why I like it so much. It's great in those quicker matchups where you need to be doing a bit of control in the background. A lot of people don't like playing out Cat on the turn 3, but I like getting it down, using its challenge, and then using its effect straight away to pass damage counters on. With Cheshire Cat, you can pay 2 to boost the character, put a card from the top of your deck underneath it, and then move damage counters on the board onto your opponent's side, which is really, really useful. Like I say, it's the Bell effect, but every single turn. You can only do it once per turn with each Cheshire Cat, so do be aware of that. But like I say, it's great being able to constantly control the damage, and it means your opponents have to think a lot more about what they're exerting and stopping themselves from being in a tricky position. The other thing I like to do is get multiple boost cards underneath my Cheshire Cat and then bring it back to me with a Madam Mim Elephant. A lot of people are against Madam Mim Elephant in the purple steel deck, but I ran it in the last set at 2, so I'm keeping it as 2 for this because it was just so helpful in my lower to the ground tempo matches. But like I say, the big benefit now being able to multiply use the boost effect with Cheshire Cat, get a load of cards underneath it, protecting it, keeping it upright if you need to, then bringing it back into your hand with Mim Elephant and drawing maybe 4 or 5 cards because the boost cards is absolutely nuts. It gets you straight back into the game, and it's really threatening for a deck like this, which the opponents are hoping you're going to run out of cards. Most of the time, they're just hoping if I get them to no cards their top deck and they don't hit Doc, I can win. But with this, you've got a nice additional little draw strategy. We like it. I've already talked quite a bit about Giant Cobra and how it's useful. I like to make sure to utilise Cobra as much as possible. I will admit, sometimes get a little bit unlucky and I just seem to get Cobras loads at the start of the game, which is a little bit of a shame. However, it's still really decent. Cobra is a 4/4 stat line, so even though it's Vanish, not a lot of actions in this meta at the minute. Still some, don't get me wrong. You're probably going to get it popped once in a while every few games, but a lot of the time it just sticks around and it's a nice way to clear your opponent's board. We've got quite a lot of high willpowered characters in this set, so Cobra seems to be doing some business, just doing a bit of board clearing for you, even after you got its effect. Worst case scenario, you just have it questing, gain some passive lore from it each turn, and then when they challenge into it, they're probably going to have to sack at least 2 characters to get rid of it, or waste a He Held His Thunderbolt or a Strength of Rage and Fire, which is good for you. We don't mind that too much. Tinkerbell is in there mainly to combine with the Timothy Mouse, but also goes well with the Dumbo just to get me that additional draw. I can't lie, I did consider having the bigger Tinkerbell like Frank did in his deck winning in his DLC winning list. I do really like it, it's just I didn't really have a spot for it, which is a little bit of a shame. There's an argument that I can maybe swap Ursula for it, but Ursula's my favourite card and that's just a flavour card for me because I love it so much. But I will talk about how it's great later on in the video. We've got 4 copies of Lexington, which is absolutely nuts. I'm officially dubbing this card the Genie Killer. It's got the new effect on it, which is Alert. Alert is kind of like Evasive, just not as good. With Alert, it gets the effects of Evasive, but only when it's challenging. So we had Steel Genie in the previous set that a lot of people were playing, and that gained Evasive on your turn, which was really good. Lexington only gets it when it challenges, so it doesn't get the Dumbo effect, but being a 4/4 stat line is absolutely mental. If I get that down, I don't need to worry about my opponents playing a Genie, because I can just run right through it straight away, which is really hard for them to deal with. The big negative of it though is it's a gargoyle character, so if you have too many cards in your hand, 3 or more, then you can't ready it. But most of the time it's great to just get it down straight away on your turn 3, use it to take out your opponent's card on the next turn if it's an evasive, and then go from there. Once again, same as Cobra, 4/4, they're going to have to use multiple cards into it to get rid of it, or waste one of their bigger songs, so it's worthwhile for you to have around. Dumbo, Genie, we don't need to explain that, same as the last set. I don't think Dumbo we ever really want to be playing down on our turn 4. Genie's always going to be the better play, even with cards like Lexington about that can one-shot it because you are getting the immediate draw. Dumbo I really like when I have a board full of evasives already. Dumbo's effect is that I can turn itself sideways, or one of the other evasive cards, spend a ink, and then gain a lore and draw a card. So really useful card, but it's just using it at the right time. I don't want to get out too early, not get its effect, and then the opponent just wipes it off, because it feels like a massive waste. Genie, you're at least getting that immediately, but it also quests for 2, so it feels a little bit better, and helps towards your lore total a little bit more. Got 2 copies of Madam Mim, like I said before, really great for bouncing. My main target for this is going to be Cheshire Cat, because I like to refill my hand, but additionally Hades and Demona is also not a bad shout either, because Hades you can pop a character or you get to draw 2 cards, or Demona when you play it down you 1 get to exert all the characters on your opponent's side of the field, which is mental, a really underlooked effect, and then the additional effect is both players draw until they have 3 cards in their hand. You have to be really sensible when you're playing this card. You don't want to be doing it against an aggro deck, or it will put you in a really tricky position, because giving them an additional 3 cards to the top decking is really risky, but it's really great against the control decks that already have the filled hands. Now, 4 copies of Elsa, that's staying the exact same as it has been in every single set. I know Mo Shamlin hasn't been using the Elsas in his deck for green-purple, but I think that's a bit of a mistake. Elsa's just so good at exerting. We've got a lot of decks in the meta which just aren't exerting cards, so being able to have that force exertion through Demona or through Elsa is just always going to go really well. It's useful to be able to clear out the opponent's board, and also it's another evasive card for Dumbo. Great in aggro, great in tempo, great against control, we just like it in general. I run 2 copies of Hades looking for a deal. Now, okay, fair enough, most people do run the 4. I'll be honest, I could probably run it at 4, but I'm a little bit cheap and I don't want to spend all that money on the cards. They are quite expensive, especially since I bought all the Dumbos in the last set. But not only that, I think Hades is still kind of situational. It's quite a fun card to play because you're making your opponent think a little bit more. They need to decide whether they want to put the card on the bottom of their deck or if they're going to let you have those 2 cards drawn. Sometimes it's nice to get those additional 2 cards. Sometimes it's nice to just be able to pop your opponent's card, but I don't think it always works as well as it needs to at the right time. Most of the time, your opponents aren't going to let you get the card draw unless it's a mega card, so sometimes it can feel a little bit underwhelming. However, with the 2 copies, once again, I can utilize the min bounce effect to be able to get that back into my hand. Sometimes it felt like I was just drawing it too much when I had 4 copies of it. I was seeing it before it was anywhere near turn 5, and that just felt like a little bit of a waste of time for me. But at 2 copies, it's been performing well. I'd argue potentially a 3 if you do want to cut down the Ursula, but 2 as a minimum, probably 3 as a max. Ursula, like I say, I've got in there just because it's my favourite card of the set. It has a really nuts effect that when you boost it, pay 1 to boost it, the character gets evasive and quests for another lore. So that's a 4/5 stat line, meaning you can take out Genie, you can take out a Dumbo. If you've got a Mim Tiny Adversary on field, you can one-shot an Elsa, you know, really great. But the main thing there, you're questing for 3, which is absolutely huge. Once again, in this deck, we just need to get to 12 before we can technically win the game as it is. That's really nuts. It's going to be hard for people to get rid of the Ursula, but on top of that as well, if you do want to boost it, since it's only a boost 1, we can get multiple cards on there if you wanted to, then play down your Mim, get your draw engine back. Something that just works really well. I think in Blurple, it's something that you probably want to be running as maybe like a 3 or a 4. In Purple Steel, a 1 of or a 2 of seems sensible. I'd be quite happy with that. But like I say, just a fun bit of tech, something I like playing, and something I always recommend to people that I'm coaching. Make sure to play cards that you actually enjoy playing. Just because you see a pro player playing a certain way doesn't mean that you can't play the cards you enjoy in your deck. Lorcana is about having a good time, enjoying it, and seeing the cards that make it a fun experience for you. So if you have a favourite card, feel free to stick it into your deck. It will help your experience. I've got 2 copies of Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan. I've went backwards and forwards on this card because sometimes I think it's great and it's one of the best cards of the set, and other times I think it absolutely sucks. Now, let me be clear, the Exert All Opponents cards is a really, really useful effect, especially with Purple Steel, because we're going to have most of our cards readied up. We're not going to get rid of them too quickly. Do need to be careful that you don't get Wombo comboed with Prince Philip, because if you've not been exerting in quests and they hit you with that, you're going to be a little bit depressed, your day's going to be ruined. But it's good for us in the mirror match, or if we need to get rid of anything big, if the opponent's board is starting to go kind of wide. Also, if we play it situationally at the right time, we're able to fill up our hands quite nicely. I was watching the DLC at the weekend, and I was also watching CCQ Wakefield. I seen one of the games on there. I can't remember which event it was, but the player had played down Demona and the opponent just already had a stacked hand, so they got no benefit from it, but the player who played it down got loads of draw coming off it. She gets to draw up to 3 cards. Really, really smart play and really well timed. So yeah, good choice to have there in the deck. And then onto our songs, we have 4 copies of Strength for Rage and Fire, as standard, same as the last set. Just a little bit of a reminder, I know we've always had that thing with Purple Steel of turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, you play a card for each of them, then you sing your Strength for Rage and Fire. Just be a little bit more careful about holding onto your strengths. There's a lot of green in the meta at the minute, meaning there's a lot of Ursula, and she's sniping you song cards out of your hand. It's not the first time I've seen somebody get really upset when they've had their strength sniped on turn 2 because they forgot their opponent's playing green. It's better to just have that little bit more of a negative start, pull into the card later, use it when it's useful, instead of having it ripped out your hand straight away, so something to be careful about. And then I'm running 1 copy of Hjalda's Thunderbolt. Now don't get me wrong, this is a very good card. It deals 4 damage to a chosen character, and your deity characters get Challenger +2 this turn, so that's including Hades, making it a 5/4 stat line, which is really useful. It's another uninkable. That's basically it, to be honest. I've already got the strengths, which I feel like is doing enough for me for the singing. I've got decent characters which are able to ping damage across, like Cheshire Cat. I've got strong characters that are able to take out the board. I don't necessarily need it too much. It's a great card and it does work, but I've been happy with just the 1. I've seen a few players play around with 2 of them, and I think 2 is a safe number, but for me, I just want to keep the uninkables down as low as possible, try and have a consistent curve as much as possible. There is the big argument that the uninkable cards are stronger, but I've found that especially in bigger tournaments, you want a deck which is going to work the exact same every single time you play it. There's nothing worse than having some rounds of high roll and some rounds of mega low roll where you just don't see playable cards. I give an example to some of my students, but I'd played in DLC Birmingham way back when that happened. I was playing a Ruby Amethyst deck. I didn't have loads of uninkables in there, but my opening hand, I seen everything that was 4 costs and above, so I decided to send the whole hand back. And when I sent it back, I drew into 2 copies of Rabbit, 4 copies of Madame Medusa, and a copy of Be Prepared. So I didn't have a single inkable card, and then I didn't even have anything that was anywhere near my 1-cost slot. And if anything, I would argue at that point in Lorcana, we were playing a little bit more inconsistently. The deck had 13 uninkables in it, which isn't huge, to be fair. There was a lot of people playing more than that, but it kind of felt like this is on me for not cutting it down. Having the lower uninkable count just protects you, gets you that longevity in tournaments, and I think it's definitely worthwhile considering keeping as low as possible. Right, everyone, that's obviously the count of the deck and what cards I'm using, the kind of lines that I'm looking for. What I will say, if you want in a little bit more detail and perhaps how to beat certain matchups, please leave me a comment and let me know down below. That way I can do a separate video doing exactly how to with a guide. I've done my big master guide for set 9, which was really successful and you guys like that, but I'm a little bit conscious about keeping you around for too long on YouTube. I don't want to bore you effectively. What I will do though for the end of this video, I'll just kind of go through what I'm looking for if I'm going first on the play or if I'm going second, and that will kind of help structure you for what you'd be looking for in games, and so to how to speak, get your curve. So realistically, if I'm saying that I'm playing blind and I'm going to be on the play, I'm going to be looking for Diablo or Palace Guard to begin with. The reason I want them is because I'm getting draw from Diablo and Palace Guard is just going to stick around. I'm then next going to be looking for Timothy Q Mouse going into Tinkerbell. This is the evasive curve where I'm trying to get as much lore as possible. I tend to go on the basis of I'm either chasing or I'm being chased in Lorcana, and I think that's a really good strategy to start using, especially if you're a bit newer. If you are on the play, you want to be trying to get to 20. You're the one doing the race, and you're saying to your opponent, catch me if you can. If they are able to catch you, then you have to change your strategy around a little bit and start working to control their board too. But starting off on the play, you have the advantage, so you might as well make use of it. If you go in second, you're going to be the one chasing them. You need to get to them before they get too close. You want to overtake them and become in a better position. So we're going to be looking for the Timothy Q Mouse on the turn 2, get the evasive card out on the turn 3, so I'll be looking for Tinkerbell. That means I'm able to quest for 2 with Timothy, and then after that, I'm probably going to be looking for Genie. For me, that 1, 2, 3, 4 is a really nice curve. Maybe after that, I'll probably be looking for an Ursula if I'm wanting to go quick, or a Hades if I'm wanting to control the board a little bit more, or maybe get some card draw. You might be running out of cards at this point. And then from that point, it's just a case of trying to control your opponent's board down whilst building up yours. Once again, just a reminder, if you are playing against green, do not put your board too wide, because if they do, they get the Prince Philip, malicious means scary combo, and the shift line off, then you just lose your whole board. So something you need to be a little bit more careful for. I think that's a really good start for going first. If I was going to be going second, I'm going to be looking for Captain Hook, ideally, because I'm able to do a bit more challenging. Once again, we're chasing them. I'll be looking for Calhoun. She's able to do a good bit of board wipe, giving you the +2 lore if you're able to take out a character, and she has resist, so sticks around for a little bit. I'll probably be looking for Lexington as the turn 3, since that's a nice evasive threat. I'll be expecting my opponents to probably get an evasive card out themselves, but if not, and they're a bit of a quicker deck, I might opt towards the Cheshire Cat. Most people don't play it till the turn 5, so they can use the effects instantly, but I quite like getting my Cheshire Cat getting my Cheshire Cat out to begin with, getting the boost cards underneath it immediately, so if I do need that Madam Mim to come down, I've got that option, but straight away it's able to ping damage on your next turns if you so need it. It's really good to challenge in with Cheshire Cat, sometimes get the damage on itself, then move that straight across to another character, since it has the 4 willpower. Giant Cobra isn't a bad turn either, but I would argue that if you're going second, especially if you're playing against Purple Steel, I don't want Cobra out, because it's just going to be hit by Vanish, so that means you're going to lose it with Strength for Rage and Fire. After that, I'd probably be looking for a Madam Mim for the following turn, bring one of the cards back into my hand, so I've got another threatening card on the board, and then after that I'm going to be sticking down an Elsa so I can get damage onto my Mim and start moving from there. So as a quick little recap, if we're going first, we're looking for Diablo Palace Guard into Timothy, into Tinkerbell, into Genie, and then probably into an Ursula. If I'm going to be on the draw, I'm going to be looking for Captain Hook, into Calhoun, into Cheshire Cat or Lexington, into Madam Mim, into Elsa. stuff. That kind of starting curve is going to do really well for you in most games, but like I say, if you want a little bit more specific and how to beat certain decks guide with your purple steel deck, let me know down below and we can sort that for you in some upcoming videos. Apart from that though, thank you so much for sticking around with me, guys. Looking forward to seeing you next video. I've got quite a few videos that I've got building in the works now, and I'm going to be filming them soon too, so looking forward to catching the next one. Have a great evening. See you later. Bye.